Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I'm here with a special treat for you all. This is Flashpoint Campaign's Southern Storm. Gotta tell you right up front, Matrix was nice enough to send me a code for this, and I have been looking forward to trying this one out. So we're gonna jump right into it. What I decided to do here is they have a tutorial scenario. They've actually got a handful of them. And we're going to play through this first one here and let you guys see how it kind of plays out. And I got to say, I like the way they've got it set up, because the way they're doing their tutorial scenario, you kind of get walked through everything. The rulebook for this game is rather large. It's like 300 pages. Okay, it's big. But a good chunk of that rulebook is the technical stuff you're going to expect for a digital game, how to install, troubleshooting problems, stuff like that. So the instructions aren't 300 pages, but they are rather long. Can make jumping into something like this a little bit harder. So having some tutorial scenarios that have manuals written out for them of do this, go here, push this button to cause it to do this, makes it so much easier. Now, because there's actually a fair amount going on here, I'm probably going to break this tutorial up into a couple of parts where we kind of establish all our orders. And the second one, we'll start executing some of those orders and let you guys see how all that works out. And that's because this Hex Encounter War game plays a little different. Thanks to it being a digital game, you can play it in a way that you couldn't really play a tabletop version, right? So in most tabletop games or other Hex Encounter War games, it works fairly simplistically. You'll have your counter. It represents your tanks or your infantry or your whatever it is. You'll click on it. You'll move it so many movement points. It'll attack. Then you'll pick another counter and do the same thing. And it will go like that on down the way. This doesn't operate quite like that. In this, you're going to select your battle plan, in essence. You'll kind of plot out what you want your troops to do, and then you'll engage that. And then they'll carry out those orders while the enemy is carrying out its orders. And you go back and forth over these segments of time. I think it's like 15 minutes long, going back and forth as you plan, but then does your plan do well against the enemy, or do you do bad? Do you have to change your plan? How's it all reacting? Really like this. It's a cool experience. Now, I haven't played some of the previous games in the series, so this is my first experience with it. And I gotta say, it's a lot of fun. I'm definitely enjoying it. And I do like the way they do this tutorial stuff. Now, I've played through some of it already. We're not going to start from that, but I would suggest going along. If you're doing this, right, you're playing this game, go along with me, watch this, see what I'm doing, see what I'm clicking, go through the manual yourself, and then save. When we get done with this video, create a save point, because it's going to be right there before the battle kicks off. So after you've established all your orders, okay, that way, if you've made a mistake or something's wrong, you're good, and you can just reload back to that point, make any changes, or if things go horribly wrong, you'll still be able to kind of change it around before you execute your battle plan, okay? So looking on our screen here, you see we've got a bunch of different options. There are campaigns in this, there's scenarios in this. We're going to do a scenario. Like I said, I've got some save scenarios. We're not going to load that up. We're going to start it from new. You can select based on certain criteria, if you want to play a certain nation, if you want a certain size campaign, whatever you're looking for. For us, we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of this list, and we're going to go into the basics. And they have a little kind of walkthrough for all this stuff. You've got the basics, how to learn how to play the game. Literally, push this key to do this thing. Love that. Really cool. So we're going to play through one. If I get a positive reaction to it and people appreciate it, we'll play through 2 and 3 as well. All right, so once you've selected what you want, you're going to click proceed. You'll pick, what side, who's playing what. We're going to have computer opponent, and I'm going to be NATO. Good guys, all right? If the enemy, you want them to play out a different battle plan, you'll select that over here. You see Warsaw Pact and what their main battle plan is. Here, they're only going to have one battle plan. They've got to take a couple of victory points. I've got to stop them from collecting those victory points. But there's some scenarios where it'll have multiple battle plans that the enemy can carry out. So maybe they'll come in flanking, maybe they'll do this, maybe they'll do that. There's different options for you to choose for the enemy to execute. Really cool, I like that. So we're leaving everything as is, base. Now, for the purposes of my video, to make things easier to show you guys, I'm putting the preset on recruit. Doesn't make the game easier. It just means I can see more. So I can see enemy units, resupplies automatic. I can see where the victory points are. All this stuff is basically on screen instead of covered up by a fog of war. This way I can see everything and explain it out as we're going along for the video. So that's why I'm setting mine my way, this way. You guys go with whatever you want, veteran, grognard, or custom. So we'll hit proceed and we'll load up our game. All right, so here we are at the base screen. We'll hit proceed. And you are going to need to pull up the manual that it referenced earlier. I already have it pulled up here. As you guys can see, these first couple of screens are talking about the basics of setting up the scenario, and then it actually gets into what you've got going on, the different units that are on the screen, how to figure out your terrain, how to see the mission. These first couple I'm going to kind of breeze through because they're not overly complex, but we're talking about this, they call it the MAKU, the terrain evaluation, lets you see your mission objectives here. This is very cool. Or actually, the MAKU is the next part. The mission objectives are this first part I'm going to show you. Let's see, is it under staff? Yep, here we go. Click on staff up here. See where it says show user mission graphics. Boom, click on that. Look at this. Tell me how cool that is. It's showing where my forces are over here, the general gist of where we got to go, and what we want to do. Now, if we scroll over, and I got to get it just right to get scroll, you see here's the 2 victory points, okay? It's these 2 bridges that we have to stop the Soviet forces. I'll scroll out a little bit so you guys can see, from trying to gain control. See over here's the Soviet forces. We got the 15th Guards Motor Rifle Regiment. Shows their little NATO symbol, all their forces, and they're going to be generally pushing down in this direction. And we have these hexes that we need to guard. We have fewer forces, but we have better forces. And we got to try to hold them there, hold those victory points. Now, the enemy here is either going to do one of 2 things. They're going to push straight in and just try to take the objective flat out, or they might push around north, use some of these highways to try to hit it from the north, and then use this highway and try to hit it from the south. We don't really know until they start to execute their battle plan whether they're going to shoot straight in or they're going to try to pincer move. Personally, if I were them, I'd probably try the pincer move instead of a direct assault, because I don't think the direct assault would work as well. But hey, that's me. Now, the MAKU here, what it's talking about, is the terrain elevation, evaluation rather, overlay. So this gives you a lot of information on the terrain. For us, if we hit Control M, boom, pops up, shows you all this cool stuff. You can click on the hexes and see what's going on. If you right click on them, it'll give you the option to see more information. And again, to cut this off, hit Control M and it'll pop off, and then you see this pops up with the legend down over here telling you what all of these different symbols and colors mean. So we'll hit Control M, boom, pops right back off. We've got our regular view. Now, we also can check line of sight. That's Control L. But cool thing is we're not just checking line of sight for our units. Let's pop over here to my guys, and we'll zoom in just a little bit and let you guys see what I'm talking about. All right, so if we click on our HQ here, hit Control L, you see it pops up showing this unit's line of sight. You see all the different hexes that they have a line of sight to. Now I can click on all my different forces that are here and see what their lines of sight are. Now, some of them are going to have advanced lines of sight because they have certain electronic advantages, right? You know, laser scopes and all this other stuff to take out the evil Xenos bad guys, right? Gotta wipe them all out. 40K reference for those of you who are in the know. Anyway, really cool. Love that. But it doesn't just end there. You can also click on hexes. If you hold shift and you want to know just a regular hex on the board, what the line of sight is, hold shift and click on it. Boom. It shows you the line of sight from that hex. That is outstanding information because, like I said, you've got to plan out your battle plan and where your troops are going to go. Now, this is just the basic line of sight, okay? So it doesn't tell you based on certain advantages or disadvantages that your units might have. Your units might have a little bit better line of sight because of some equipment they have, but it'll at least give you a general idea of what they can see in those hexes. So remember, we're trying to guard here. We probably want to put our units right around here, especially in the city of Bad Durham. That's what Durham, whatever it's called. So as we click on these hexes and hold shift and click on them, you can see it adjusts the line of sight. So that gives us really good information. Like right here, okay, here's the bridge. Here's our victory point. So we'll click that hex right there on it. And we can see, all right, if we have a unit positioned there, they can obviously see around them a little bit across the way, across the river, and then just a little bit over into this tree line. But a lot of their line of sight is going to be blocked because of all these trees and these hills that are off to the right. So we aren't going to have the farthest line of sight. But that could give us an advantage because we can scroll over here, if I can get it just right. There we go. And the enemy, if they come down in this direction, well, let's click those hexes. Boom. Now we know what kind of line of sight they're going to have. Just randomly clicking around here, where might the enemy go? What areas are they going to go? They don't have a whole lot of roads running in through here. Let me get that off for a sec. As you guys can see, there's some minor roads, but the major roads are north and south for the flank. So if they kind of push in, they don't have the best of roads to move in, but we can at least check those roads and see if they come this way, what kind of line of sight are they going to have? Okay, well, they got to get up to here to at least be able to see across. So that gives us that information. And we can use that information when we give orders to our units so we know, okay, well, they're going to be kind of tucked in. They can get some concealment going on over here, or they're going to be open and exposed over here. So we want to avoid that area. All right, so that's checking line of sight, checking terrain line of sight, checking line of sight at the objectives, and checking possible enemy line of sight. So a lot of that we've gone over very quickly. Next part, checking our forces. Okay, there's a lot of information we can get in this little area to see the specifics of our units, and then also what type of intelligence we have. So I'm going to go over that with you really quick here, how to see specifics of your units, and then where you can get some extra intelligence. Now, to be fair, when it comes to some of these intelligences, I don't know the specifics yet of all of them because I haven't done all the advanced stuff yet, but at least I do know where to point you to get that information. So let's pop back over here to our board and look at our units, all right? If we want to see some information on a unit, there's multiple ways we can do that. We can right-click on the unit and it brings up a list of options there. Or if you want, you can simply double-click on the unit and it's going to bring up this little status board here, and it tells you a fair amount of what's going on in that specific unit. This is our HQ unit, so it tells us their veteran experience, if they're under fire, enemy units that are spotted, and then over here to the right you can see their ammo, their readiness, their morale. If it's another unit, the range to HQ, all that cool stuff. Then the order SOP, which you guys are getting ready to see because we're going to start issuing some orders to our units here in a sec. Right now they're in a basic hold. However, this isn't the only information because this counter doesn't just represent this one little unit. It represents a handful of units. So if we click subunits, boom, we can see what units are there. Okay, so these select units are part of our HQ unit. So we can click on each one of these to get specific information on them as well. Now we can do this with any of our units here, like this one, this tank unit, unit dashboard, boom, pops right up. Now make sure we pay attention to this area here where it lists down your orders, because that's going to come in play here in just a second when we start issuing orders to our units, because we can go back to this area and make changes to those orders after we've established them. Not after we execute, but once we've established our orders, we can come in here and tweak things if we need to. So click that off, really cool. Just double click on things, bam, pops it right up. Makes it easy to see all the information on your guys. Over here to the right here, and then also some of this information is available in other places up at the top as well. And there's things like staff. You can find some of this stuff as well, like scenario information, operations, intelligence, personnel, fire support. That's what all of these are here. So you've got multiple places to find this information. It really just depends on what you're looking for. HQ, it'll pop up what we already saw with the unit dashboard there. And then right below that, we have scenario information. Here gives us our tutorial, the basics. This goes over, the gist of it. I think it also talked about where to find the manual I'm using. It might have been in the beginning of the scenario. So forgive me if I get that one wrong. But after that, we have our ops board. Pop this up. Has a whole bunch of different information here. Mission briefing shows you the basic layout of what's going on with the attack. Map overlay, sit rep, engineering. I guess if you're building bridges, mine layers, stuff like that. Air support, current weather, what's going on with that. I'm not sure what runners is yet. I have to figure that one out, what's going on with runners. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. It says running. I don't know, started 12, running. Maybe that has to do with the amount of units that you have remaining, period. Because, yeah, that would actually make sense. It says started with this. We're currently running this. So if we've had units that we've withdrawn, fallen out, or have been destroyed, it lists down there. So, cool. Gives us some other stuff. Emitters, I think this has to do with like electronic warfare. None of our guys have that, so we don't have any of that going on right now. All that information is in ops. Remember, you can access it there at the top as well. Below that, we have intelligence staff report, and it's similar to ops that it has a lot of information about what's going on with the game. Threat assessment, enemy situation report. So this will change as our guys gain information, as our recon units do what they're doing. Any kills that we've gotten. Enemy off-map assets, which they don't have any because we don't have any. Electronic warfare, which I really don't think there's any going on in this one. And again, our little weather forecast, because that can come into play as well, especially for things like air power, which this scenario doesn't have, I do not believe. Below that, we've got our personnel, staff alerts, detailed unit status, so we can see some specifics of some of our units, any reinforcements or withdrawals that we got going on, and really cool here, the ammunition that we have on hand. If we're firing off our 2 missiles or explosives or tank shells, all that cool stuff, this is how much we've got. And what we got left on hand, percent on hand is 100 because we haven't fired any. And then as you scroll down, you can see for each one of your specific units what they've got on hand left. And you'll need that information when you're firing at the bad guys. Fire support. We don't have any fire support for this mission with the exception of mortars. That's your indirect fire. If you have some off-map assets, that's in a different area. But you can set up things like fire missions, fire support control center. Like I said, for us, we've just got our little mortar company here that we can do some stuff with. But we're going to issue them some orders here in a sec. And then for the off-map assets, that would be right there at the bottom, and we do not have any of those. Now, that's the basics of where you can get a lot of this information. Let me pull this off because now we're going to start issuing some orders to these guys and get them set up to engage the enemy. Okay, so in this scenario, it gives us a handful of plans that are already planned out, and tells us exactly what we're going to push to execute these orders. So we've got like the red plan, the blue plan, the green plan, the yellow plan. We're going to walk through all of this and let you guys see how all this does. That will conclude us here for this first tutorial video, and then we'll pop on and let you guys see how it works once we start executing it. But it does carry on through multiple levels of planning. We probably won't go through all of them, but at least let you guys see how all of this does play out. So for our initial thing, for our red plan here, you can see it shows us in this little instructional manual here exactly what to push and exactly what units to push it on. I really like that because it streamlines things and it helps get this information into your head, which is great for me because I'm a dumbass. So we're going to hold shift. We're going to click on our first 4 recon sections. It's basically just the first four units we got up front closest to the enemy. We're going to right click on one of those lead sections, select a deliberate move, and then we're going to plot 2 waypoints as shown below. And then we'll select the screen for the arrival order because there's a list of things that you can set your guys to do. Let's go ahead and select all these guys and have them start doing these orders. Okay, so you see, we're looking at our guys here, okay? We're going to do this for our first 2 stacks. That gives us 4 units. And we want to move them over here to Bad Durham. All right, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, but bite me. So we're going to hold shift. We're going to click on this one. And we're going to click on this one. So I'm thinking that got us both of them. If we hold on it, nope, didn't get that one. So let's shift click there. And then we'll hold. And I'm just leaving the mouse here for a second. And there we go. So I've selected all 4 of these guys. If you just leave the mouse on it for a second, it'll pop up and it'll show you what's there in the hex. All right, so all the units. Now we're going to right click and we are going to issue the move deliberate order. So you see we got assault, move deliberate, move hasty, screen, hold, rest and resupply. We got a whole bunch of different stuff we can do. We want to move deliberate, although we're going to change that to hasty, but anyway, move deliberate, and we want them to go over here to Bad Durham. And you see it pops up here at the top telling us the plotting mode. We can input up to 6 waypoints to get them where we want them to go. So if you want them to loop around, you just plot those points out to get them at the end goal of where you're planning. Once you're done, you click this commit button. All right, so for our first set of guys here, forget where that first one was. I think it was right about here. So we'll click, actually, I think it was a little farther back. Was it here? Yeah, let's click here. I like this spot better. I'm hoping I'm clicking it right, but it doesn't matter. We'll get there. All right, so you see it pops up. It says 1. All right, that's our first point. We want them to ultimately go here, Bad Durham. So we click there. Boom. That's 2. We're going to click commit. And now this pops up with what do we want them to do when they get there. They can hold, screen, or resupply. And I do believe this was a screen. Select screen upon arrival. So we will hit screen and boom, just like that, we've issued our first orders. Now our units are set to go there. If we want to see more, we can hit Control A and you can see this actually pops up with these units where they're going here. All right, so we've set our little points to where we want them to go. I don't think it's got them exactly right. We can adjust that. But the next thing that we need to do is we actually need to change the order for the first move to all units to a hasty move instead of a deliberate, because we want to get there before the Soviets get there. So we want to move up quick and get into those positions. So what we want to do is we want to get them all set to a hasty instead of deliberate. Now we're going to bring back up that unit dashboard that I was showing you guys earlier. We can double click, right click, we're going to double click here and boom. You see where it says the orders? Now it's different from what it was. It's showing some stuff. Shows they're going to move here, and then they're going to screen. So if we right click on that, we can click hasty. Right click here, move hasty, boom. And then all we have to do is apply that. And now these guys are set. Let me see if I can move this over. These guys are set, and you can see that it's no longer a blue little triangle in the corner. It's now a black one. So we want to do the same thing here, These guys with the blue, we're going to change them to hasty as well. And we're going to do this with all of our units. We're going to click them all to moving hasty. We'll click here on these guys. Do the same thing because we want to beat those nasty Soviets as we're coming over. So this is what you're going to do to change movement orders for your units. Always make sure you hit apply once you're done doing it. So we'll click move hasty and move hasty and apply. Now all of our first 4 sections are all moving as quickly as they can to get where they're going. Now you see this one is the dark one, okay? That means that unit I'm selected, that's where they're going. If we hold on here, I get it pop up, click there, see how it changed? That's where they're going, okay? Same thing here. We can click there, we can see where that unit's going, and then let's see if I can get the next one. Here we go. Same, they're going there. So you can see ultimately my guys are going to end up right here in that little half circle I want them to be to hold off the enemy forces. And again, when you're done with that information, you can just hit Control A and it'll pop off. The reason that one's still there is because I still have that unit selected. See, once I've selected off of them, these units do not have any moving orders, so they don't have an icon showing up. Click here, there's the icon. Click there, there's the icon. Boom, no icon. But that's cool though. We're gonna give these guys some orders as well. Looking here on the scenario, this one wants this next set of a couple of counters to go over to the bridge, down and around that hill and get tucked into some trees to help kind of cover where the enemy's coming in. So we're gonna set up that order on those next set of guys. I'm already at the bottom of the screen. So shift click here, we'll select them both just like we did before. We'll click move deliberate and we're gonna set 3 markers. We'll go 1 here. We're gonna go 1 here. Actually, is it 3 or 4? Which one did they do? Yeah, they did 4. So we'll do 1 there, do 1 more over here, and then 1 up to there. So that sets us kind of looping around over into those trees so we can get into a cover position. We've set it, we'll hit commit, and then we also want to screen when we get there. So boom, we're gonna hit that, and we don't want them right there, so we're gonna slide this up, right? Boom, we want them to end right there. Now, to be frank with you, I'm not entirely sure why we're setting these all as deliberate and then changing to hasty, but that's what the tutorial says do, so that's what we're gonna do. I think it's partly to help teach you how to change orders in all the unit status panels, but that's no big deal. We'll click right click, bring up the dashboard, and you see we've got a bunch of moving deliberate. We're gonna change all those to move hasty to get our guys where we want them to be, boom. Click apply, and then we will pull it up on the next one here, and we're gonna do the same thing. Move hasty, all the way down and apply. And just like that, we have all our guys set up and we can see exactly where they're going. But now if we hit Control A, look at that, boom. It shows us everything. All the orders that we've issued up until this point are showing on the screen so we can see where all our guys are going. Really cool, love that. Now for our next one, it wants us to move our 2 tank platoons over and down and up onto this little hill here. So this little spot right here, real easy. We're gonna do this the same way that we just did the other. So we'll shift click on these, right click, we'll do a move deliberate, and we are going to move to here, and then to there. We're gonna commit that. And these guys, I believe, are doing a hold action, if I remember correctly. Yep, we are doing a hold order. So we'll click hold here and boom, shows us right where they are. And let's see where that other tank is going to be before I move that first one. Okay, first one's going there. And yeah, I guess we'll leave that one there. So we are going to do the same thing that we did previously. Select to move hasty with both of our tank units here and get on that other one and change them to the black triangle as well. Move hasty, boom. Applied that, we've got all our tanks moving. Now we've just got our mortar and our HQ back over here to take care of to finish up our orders. Okay, so for our last 3 units that we haven't issued orders to, these 2 we need to issue just deliberate orders. They don't get the actual hasty orders, and they're supposed to go over to here and then down to here, I do believe. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. Let's do this. Move deliberate. And there's first one. There's second one. Put them right there. And we will commit. And we are going to select them to hold, but we're going to change one thing. We've got our orders set. Now for our mortar platoon specifically, just the mortar guys, we're going to bring up their unit dashboard. And instead of leaving them as a hold, okay, for these mortar guys, we want them on call so they can be useful to us. So we're going to change them to on call, and we're going to apply that. That's going to take care of them. Their orders are set. The last thing that we got to do is just do a deliberate order here to move up our command unit just a little bit. And did I accidentally click them? I think I did accidentally click them when I was moving this earlier. So I wonder if I can just adjust this. We just need a deliberate order for them to move into Rethem. I must have accidentally clicked those guys earlier, so we'll just slide this back and boom. Now they are doing a deliberate move right here into Rathheim. That's it. They're kind of hanging in the back. You don't want to move your HQ too far up. Now, if we hit Control A, boom, look at that. We can see all the orders for all our units, where they're going. We can adjust it by dragging these little arrows if we need to for their final positioning, but we're pretty well good for where we are right now. All the orders are set up. Our units are prepared. Now we just need to finish out rounding out the orders for them for when they actually get there. This is something they say it was highly requested as a feature from our previous game in Southern Storm, and we implemented the SOP system. This system allows you to set standard operating procedures for any waypoint for any unit. So basically, what are they going to do, when, and where? Like more specifics to it. Really cool stuff. So here we're going to adjust the tank platoon's SOPs. Said in most cases, the default SOP will work for most situations. For the plan, the tanks need to be set for a long-range engagement. They don't want to get stuck in knife fighting. They want to shoot them from a distance, sniper them. So to make this adjustment, do the following. We're going to select one tank platoon, right-click it to bring up the unit pop-up menu, and then bring up the SOP manager item. Okay, let's go back over there. Let's click one of our tank platoons here. And did I accidentally move something? I think I did. Oh, crap. Did I slide one over? Yeah, that's the ACR. Slide him over. Okay, there we go. Oops. Forgive me. I had accidentally moved a unit. That was my apologies. Anyway, we have got our tank. We are going to bring up our SOP manager. And boom, here we go. This allows us to change what they're doing and when they're doing it. All right, so the scope, when do we want them? That's what the scope part is talking about it. We want to adjust it for the hold, for the last part of what they're doing. So if we click there, we can scroll down to hold, boom. Starting from then, what are we going to change? Well, we want them to fire at max range, and we want to relocate when taking direct fire losses, okay? And I believe that's all we're changing on these guys specifically. Let me make sure. Yep. Okay, so yep, those are the two things we're changing for these guys. So you guys can see what I'm talking about here. The scope up here allows you to change the when, like when are they doing it along the orders, and then the stuff down below is the what. Okay, you pick when and then what they're doing. We want them instead to fire at maximum range and then after taking direct losses. Looking over here to the left, now we can apply this only to this unit, or we can apply to all units of the same type. So we can actually apply this to all of our tanks all at once, which is what we're going to do. Now, this is going to apply it to both of our tank platoons, but there are some tanks and some other units as well, like the HQ unit. That's not that big of a deal. It's fine for them all to have the same order here. So we're going to hit boom. Shows us what other units are getting that. So we will proceed. And just like that, we've changed it for everyone. Everyone's good right at one click. Really love that. Nice and streamlined. Okay, so there's another way you can do this besides the clicking on the units over here that I've been doing. And this actually comes into it because what happens if you've got a handful of units that you all want doing the same thing, or at least part of them doing the same thing in a certain location, right? Can you copy over some orders? Yes, you can. That's what we're going to do here. If you see over here to the right, this is a list of all of our units. Our bottom guys down over here in the tree line, they're good. We don't have to worry about them too much. We're happy with a standard SOP for them. The ones up here in the urban environment, though, that's a little different. Their line of sight's going to be shorter, so we want to adjust them for some knife fighting tactics. So we're going to change up what they're doing here. Over here on the right side of the screen, we can right click on what unit, and we want to do this stuff for the 1, 2, 3, and 4 guys, the first 4 up there, okay? If we right click on it, it brings up that same set of options that you get from right clicking on the unit itself. So we can bring up that SOP dashboard. Well, when do we want to change this? We want to change it at the end when they're screening. So we'll click that and screen. What do we want them doing? Okay, so there's a list of options in here we're going to change up. We know, like I said, they're going to be knife fighting. They're going to be stuck in. So we're going to change preferred standoff range to 0. Okay. And what else were we changing in here? I know we're going to change it to concealment. Preferences for concealment. Passengers disembark at range 0. And we can leave it set here. Carriers, when empty, will either support the passengers or hide. Well, these are armored APCs, armored personnel carriers. They've got some machine guns on them. They can, help. We want them to help. We want them to lay down some gunfire. So we're going to leave them at support passengers. So those are the options that we're going to change here. Now, who are we going to change it to? We just want to do this for this unit, for this, because we don't want this set of orders affecting our southern recon guys or any of the ones that are in the back. So we just want this affecting the northern guys. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to apply to this unit only, but we want it for 1, 2, 3, and 4. So right here, we're going to leave the screen open and we're going to click on APCR 2. When we right click here on 2, you see it has an option up here, apply SOP to units matching orders. So what we've got on the screen right now is still 1, right? It's what we've changed for 1, and we want to match that to 2, 3, and 4. So apply SOP to units matching orders. Boom. Just like that, proceed. It shows who it is. Same for 3, apply, proceed. For 4, apply, and proceed. Boom. Just that easy. We were able to change all these options for units 1, 2, 3, and 4 just by right clicking and hitting OK. Makes it nice and easy and streamlined. Definitely like that. Okay, so I've scrolled out a little bit here. As it is now, we are done. You can see all our arrows are set. We've got our orders. Our guys know what they're going to do when they get where. We were able to make some minute adjustments. We want our tanks to stand off a little bit because we don't have as many. We need them to survive. So we want them to snipe these guys, pick them off from a distance. The ones that are going to be in the city, we know from looking at our line of sight earlier that they're not going to have a long line of sight. The enemy, when they hit there, it's going to be right on top. So we needed to adjust their orders to account for that. We've got that set up. We've got the orders for the southern little group of recon, the ones that are going to be a little farther away. They're just going to be tucked a little ways back in the woods. All right, well, they're not going to be knife fighting. So we could leave their orders the same. Everything is good to go. We now can initiate our orders, and at the same time, the enemy will initiate their orders. Now, this is the part that I was talking about earlier. you want to go to game and you want to save your game. You can see I've already got a couple from earlier. We'll do this tutorial and we'll do it video 2 because second time I've done this. Start, because we are at the start of our battle. Boom, proceed. And now we've got our orders saved. Everything's good to go before we are initiating our first set of orders. This way, if something goes wrong or you messed up, you gave the wrong orders, you can reload this. I'm not saying do this in your actual scenarios or anything like this. You play those out. But this, when you're learning it in your tutorial game, great idea. Create the save here. That way, if you've made a mistake, you can go back, figure out where you made that mistake, and run it again until you figure out exactly how all this works. But yeah, this is an excellent, excellent way, I believe, to run a tutorial. Literally, step by step, push this button, go to this screen to create this order, and it gives you that experience you need. Because this, let's not lie, this is a little complicated. Creating battle plans, what are you going to do? How are you going to react to the enemy? And I really love this. Just figuring out, all right, they're enemy forces. I'm not just moving a counter and then he moves a counter, and you can't really kind of scope out your whole battle plan. In this, you've got to pick, what am I going to do? I'm going to do this. And then you see if it worked, right? That's great. That's Battlefield Command right there. That's some options that you don't really see in tabletop wargaming. You guys know me. I love some tabletop wargaming, but this is just neater than hell. To me, it kind of feels like a combination of a Hex Encounter wargame and Hearts of Iron, in the fact that you're, issuing your orders, how your units are moving around, make sure they're supplied, make sure they have their ammunition. Don't let them get flanked. Don't let them get surrounded. All that type stuff. But no matter what you plan, it's not going to survive that first contact with the enemy. Things are going to happen, and you're going to have to change those battle plans on the fly, during each round. All right. So when we come back to video 2, we will let this play out, let you guys see how that works, and then we'll plot out a few more orders, kind of give you the basics. But like I said, if you got this and you want to kind of help yourself figure it out, now you won't have just the manual to go by. This will give you a video and you can see me actually clicking the buttons and what I'm doing, where the units are supposed to go. That way you've got a video reference now to use, as well as the field manual itself in the game. So, hey, trying to help you guys out. All right, if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you put those comments down below. Make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to blow this channel up as much as I can. Each time you subscribe, it really helps me out big time. All right, that's going to be it for this one. You guys stay tuned for part 2. Y'all take care. I'll catch you in the next one.